Hi, so I'm here with Ben Smith from Express Recruitment in Nottingham. We're just going to have a quick chat about some sort of career stuff that I know that the questions that students have expressed interest in hearing more about in the past. So Ben's going to tell us a little bit about his work and career. So we'll get stuck straight in there, really. So, I mean, Ben, can you tell us a bit about your job role or your job title and how that fits into the company?
Yeah, of course. First of all, obviously, thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. It's nice to get and have a bit of a natter on a Friday morning. But so my job title, I'm a recruitment consultant here at Express Recruitment. Basically, what my job sort of entails is we do 360 recruitment. So my role is all about it's basically a 360 cycle. It's all about sourcing new business. So a lot of it is very sort of client led. So going out to meet clients, getting a real good understanding of sort of what their individual needs are, because as you can probably imagine, every client's different, especially on my desk, because the desk I run is a customer service and also a language desk. So I specialise in any customer service role, whether that be filling a big contact centre, so maybe a client might need 15 people every month, or maybe filling a one-off specialist language role, for example, a German and French speaker to work for an IT company on their service desk. So all about sort of getting a really good understanding of what the client's individual needs are. And then also with that, getting to know the cultural fit as well. We believe, obviously, service we're providing, we don't just want to send them any candidate. Obviously, if we were just going to do that, we wouldn't be giving them the service sort of they're paying for. So we're all about sort of going that extra mile, really understand sort of their individual needs, their culture fit, and also just understanding how this person can add value to the organisation. It's a little bit, in a way, we're like an extension of sort of a company's or organisation's HR system. So we do a lot of sort of the vetting. We meet people. So on the candidate side, I will do a telephone interview with every candidate. So that can sometimes last anywhere from sort of 10 to 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And then what I would do normally is would meet them face to face. Obviously, at the moment, we can't have people off the street coming in, as sometimes we can register as a team up to sort of like 20, 30 people a day. So it'd be unsafe to have them coming into the office. So at the moment, we're doing a lot of this. So over Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp, Skype, for example. And then again, that's around sort of 30 minutes through to an hour. And that we're just really getting sort of underneath the carpet with the candidate, finding out all about their experiences, the skill set, and then some of the reasons for leaving and sort of what they're looking for in the next career move. So that's sort of the candidate side, and then obviously with that, once we've met the client, we've got a good understanding of what their needs are. It's then obviously matching candidates to the role, so not just based on skill set, but also based, like I said earlier, on cultural fit as well. And then as well as that, what we do, we then prepare sort of the interview. So we'll prepare the candidate side of the interview. So do some interview prep. Normally that comes over like a Zoom or a Teams. And then on the client side, we'll take care of all of the interview preparation and confirmation. So we'll send out the confirmation, get it in their diaries, etc. Obviously, again, each client's different. Some clients have 4 stages, interview stage, for example. Some clients maybe have 1 stage. It's very sort of client dependent. But yeah, what we'll do is manage that whole journey. Because I just do permanent recruitment. So what we are on the permanent side, we're more of just like an introduction. So we'll introduce the candidate to the client. And then obviously once the candidate has been successful and been off the role and accepted, then it's all over to the client. And obviously they're employed by the client and not us. So that's, I know it's quite a short summary, but that's sort of a short summary of what my job title is, sort of what it involves day to day. But I mean, for me, one of the really big things I like is obviously going out there, meeting clients. Obviously, we meet clients in all different industries and sectors. So I know I go from meeting some clients who run a contact centre with 300 people, and then I can go to some SME who potentially just need a one-off specialist role as well. So it's really nice, sort of quite interesting to understand the different needs of each client as well. And that's sort of one thing that really sort of draws me to recruitment. So yeah, it's just, hopefully that sort of give you a good understanding of the job role. But I know it's quite short and brief. But if there's anything else I've missed, just let me know and I can go over that.
That's fine. So, but I mean, it is something that's come up a couple of times. So just for the benefit of our students, when you talk about, say, an SME there, for example, could you give it a sort of a short description of what an SME is for our students? Because a lot of them, at the stage that they're at in their education, they might not necessarily have come across some of these terms before.
Yeah, so in this job role, there's always business terms that are flying up each day. I mean, I've been in this role around just about a year and a half now, so I'm still learning myself. every day I'm learning new terms, new sort of words. But I mean, it's sort of an SME, but it's like a small, medium enterprise. Sorry. So anywhere from a company from maybe based up to sort of maybe one member of staff through to sort of the 20, 25 members of staff, where it's not these big sort of organisations. It's more like a small independent business, for example. I mean, we'd be classed as an SME potentially because we're a small family-run business. We've got around sort of 15 to 20 employees at the moment. But then on the flip side, I then also deal with some huge sort of national, multinational, international organisations who've got maybe circa of up to sort of 700 members of staff. So yeah, very different, both very different. But again, both, one thing that I really enjoy is understanding the difference in what their clients need. Because obviously, if you're looking at a contact centre, for example, where you need to recruit 15 people a month, obviously their needs are very different, and how you've got to manage the recruitment process is very different to, for example, if I was working with an SME who just wants one person. Obviously, you can tailor that approach and that interview process very differently to obviously what it's going to be about on numbers game. So, yeah, hopefully that sort of gives them a better understanding of what that term means.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I say, it's something that, I mean, you know, as you mentioned, once you go into industry, you start to pick these terms up. And obviously, I mean, we do it ourselves within our team at the college. Obviously, there are things that, you know, that we kind of take for granted and explain. So it's good for students to hear that from someone in the industry. I think, you know, especially it's good to hear about the variation in terms of the clients and customers that you work with. Because I think sometimes there's a perception for people that, you know, I think a lot of our admin students may go to work in the recruitment sector, and obviously not always aware of the sort of the scope of the company. So, you know, as you say, it can go right from one person looking for someone else to come work with them up to, you know, a company that's got 1,000 employees that wants to take.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that sort of variation, and obviously, you know, I'm sure it keeps you on your toes and keeps things sort of different from day to day, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really enjoy my desk because, like I say, every day is different. I mean, I'll go into that, what my day looks like, a little bit later. But yeah, as you can imagine, sort of dealing with one client who needs maybe 15 people every week or month is very different of how you handle one client who needs just one person on a one-off basis. So yeah, really fun, keeps it interesting actually. So yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so yeah, so just touching on something there. So that was going to be my next question to you, really. And I suspect, like a lot of people that I ask this question, there isn't really a standard answer, and there may not be. But if you could give us an idea of what a typical day might be like for you, then, you know, that would probably be really interesting for the students, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, typical day for me normally starts probably around sort of 8:15, 8:30. One thing I'm quite big on is planning my day the day before. So what I'll do, say for example, the end of today, Friday, I will plan Monday before I leave the office. So when I come in sort of first thing Monday morning, I know what I need to do that day. So for example, when I get in the morning, I'll look through, I call it like a 9 to 5 basically. So it'll have like just an A4 piece of paper really, with just the timings down the side, like 9, 10, 11, etc. Just so I can plan what I need to do, sort of what time in the day. And then obviously during the day, I can always just revert back to that. So yeah, normally get in around sort of 8:15. Obviously first of all, especially on a Monday, lots of emails over the weekend, some good, some bad. So get over them first. And then what I normally like to do sort of straight off on a Monday morning is I like to look on the job boards. So I spend a bit of time searching for candidates. Some people may not know what that term means, but basically on Indeed and on JobSite and CV Library, for example, as recruiters, we pay for a certain service where we can actually go on there and find candidates rather than just waiting for you to apply on the job boards. So on a Monday, obviously over the weekend, people get the weekend blues. Obviously come Sunday, the people I don't want to go to work tomorrow, I want a new job. So Monday morning is normally quite a good time to find some candidates and normally have a look on there. And then obviously I'll spend some time in the day canvassing. So by that term, what I mean is a little bit of business development. So potentially looking at trying to source on new business or trying to grow existing clients and accounts that we've already got. So spend a little bit of time with that. Because obviously recruitment, sales, you can never have enough sort of cogs in your pipeline. So keep building that. And then obviously a lot of time spending sort of on the candidate interaction side, so interviewing candidates, sort of matching candidates to jobs. And a lot of it is, I really enjoy this sort of discussing with candidates, sort of trying to help them find their sort of their dream job, as you like to say. Because at the moment, there's a lot of candidates in the market who potentially wouldn't normally be. Obviously, we're all going through a major pandemic at the moment. No one could predict how 2020 was going to end out. So although it's quite a challenging time for some, it's quite exciting for a lot of businesses because for the first time in a long time, there's a lot of people in the market who potentially have been at an organisation for the last 10, 15 years who wouldn't normally be in the market. So although it's quite a strange time to be hiring with the uncertainty, it's also quite a good time due to sort of there's potentially candidates that you wouldn't normally have access to. So we found it to go sort of swings and roundabout both ways. So yeah, really nice at the moment to sort of chat to people who who, to be honest, don't really know what the job market is because they've not been in it for that long. So trying to let them sort of reassure them, obviously, let them know, obviously, that although they are in the job market for the first time in sort of 15, 20 years, it's not a scary time. What I will do is guide them through that. And also, yeah, I mean, on the client side, I spend a lot of time every Monday morning. One of the main things I do is ring around all my existing clients, just have a catch up, bit of a natter, sort of see what they got up to on the weekend, sort of see how they're finding our service at the moment, see if there's anything else we can do, because I always want to go above and beyond. So, yeah, even if it's something not necessarily to recruit for a new person, but if there's anything we can do for maybe an existing candidate that we've already got in there, for example, yeah, happy to have a discussion about that as well. And mainly just sort of, making sure I'm sort of keeping ticking on the client side, but also the candidate side, because you can never have spinning too many plates. So it's just make sure that it's a balancing act, really. Yeah, that's sort of a typical day. Normally finish around sort of 5:30. And then again, like I say, what I'll do is plan my day for the following day. So when I get in the morning, I'm not then sort of having to start again. I can come in the morning. I know what I need to do. I can just get on with it straight away. I think in this job, it's very, very, very fast paced. Especially on the desk I work on. I know maybe some of the more technical desks where it takes longer, people have longer notice periods, it's a little bit slower. But on my desk, it's all about numbers. It's all about sort of fast-paced, turning it around quickly, especially the contact centre. So like I said earlier, I've got some clients that want sort of 10, 15 people a month. So as you can imagine, I don't just interview 10, 15 people. If someone wants 15 people to start on a Monday, you maybe have to interview double that, because obviously for some reason, some people may not be the right culture fit, they might have not the right skill set, for example. So it's all about sort of meeting people, getting the numbers in there and sort of turning it around quick. So yeah, it's very fast paced, but I mean, if you keep organised, it's really, really, really makes your day a lot easier. So yeah, I definitely recommend sort of planning your day, maybe the night before, day before, just so basically I always find that sometimes, like today, something might happen. And if I don't write it down to plan for tomorrow, for example, I might forget it tomorrow morning. So it's always handy to sort of make a note and plan the day before, I find. But yeah, that's sort of like a typical working day for me, to be honest. Yeah, very fast, very quick.
Yeah, great. Well, it's good. I mean, as you say, there's some good lessons in there, I think, for students to hear about in terms of, first of all, planning, as you say, planning ahead, making sure that you've got a handle on everything that's coming in, especially when it's ever changing and, fast paced like it is for you. And also about, you mentioned in the middle there, really, of your answer about sort of relationship management with your existing customers. So it's not always just about being reactive to things as they come across your desk. It's about being proactive, isn't it? As you say, having a bit of a hustle there, if you like. And also,
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and just keeping the lines of communication open, isn't it, really, with customers. So I think sometimes there's an expectation from people going into the workforce that when you go into a job, people will kind of give you things to do all of the time, and often it's about
definitely
take those fights yourself, isn't it? Keep it going. So so that's really interesting.
I think one thing in this job, it's really important on that client relationship side, because I like to call it sort of like the leaky bucket effect. You don't want to spend all your time trying to fill your bucket and bring in new business and forget about the existing clients, because they'll just leak away. As you can imagine, recruitment's very, very competitive. There'll be different agencies trying to speak to my clients all the time, and if, say, for example, if I don't stay in touch with them, you just risk the chance of losing them, and I don't want that. I believe we offer sort of a tailored and bespoke service. I want to be on hand to our clients whenever they need it. So I'm a really big believer in making sure the relationships you've got, you basically work on making sure they're solid before you try and sort of source new relationships. Because like I say, there's no point trying to waste all your energy for filling the bucket up if you're going to just let all the ones at the bottom roll out. So it is a bit of a balancing act. But I mean, yeah, that client relationship and building that relationship and maintaining that relationship for me is a massive, not just in working life, but in life in general, to be honest. I'm a big believer in that. So that's definitely a takeaway, I'd say.
Yeah, great. Okay. So just to kind of roll back a little bit then. So can you tell us a little bit more about your sort of background and your history and how you got to this stage in your career? Maybe a little bit about your education or any previous roles that you've had?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm originally not from this area at all. So I actually grew up in Yorkshire. So I'm a Yorkshire boy, born and bred. I went to a school called Beverley Grammar School. So that's in a little town called Beverley, just an all-boys school around about sort of 600 people. It's quite small in terms of secondary schools. And then from there, when I finished school, I was at a bit of a loose end. I played rugby to quite a good level. So I was thinking, I don't really know what to do. I don't really want to do A-levels. I've had sort of had enough of sort of being sat in a classroom. So I joined a college that sort of specialises in sort of like sports performance and rugby. So I went to Bishop Burton College, which you may have heard of, up in Yorkshire. So I went there and sort of joined their sort of rugby academy, etc. And alongside that, I did a BTEC. So I did a level 3 BTEC in sports performance and excellence, which was really good fun. I actually found I engaged more in that than I did when I was at school. I really, really enjoyed it. I think mainly because it was something I was actually quite passionate and interested in, which I thought really helped. And then from there, I, again, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Obviously, when you're at that age, it's quite hard, isn't it? You've got people sort of filling you with all sorts of information, do this, do that. And I was like, well, I want to go to university, I want to gain a bit of life experience, sort of see what university is about. So I came down to Nottingham Trent, managed to get a scholarship there, had a really, really good time there, loved my time down here. And then I thought, you know what, I'll stay down here. So at university, I actually did something completely different to recruitment. So I didn't do a business degree or anything like that. I actually did a teaching qualification. So I did a joint honours in psychology and physical education, because basically my mum works up in a school back home, and I always, basically on my school holidays and stuff, I always used to go to school with her. So I thought, I really quite like this. But then as you go for university, so you do different placements, etc. I thought now's not the time to do that. But sure, I probably something I may go back to in the future. But I thought, no, I don't want to do that at the moment. So what I did was apply for some graduate roles. So a local graduate program here at Express. So came down here. I quite like the aspect of recruitment because, like I said earlier, it's very fast paced. And obviously the nature I've come from in sporting background, it's very competitive, all about sort of teamwork. And I just thought at the moment in time, this is going to be a really good fit for me. And then, I joined here when I graduated last year. So it was like July time last year. So, that's sort of my path into here. I think it's probably going to be quite similar to a lot of the students you deal with at college as well. Because I know a lot of my sort of colleagues here, a lot of them went to sort of like did A levels, maybe like private school, for example. But I didn't. I went just through. I did the college. Really enjoyed the BTEC. I thought it was really, really valuable. Because I guess it just gives a different platform for someone like myself who wasn't that interested in doing various different subjects. Because in honesty, I wasn't a bad student, but it's like in a classroom. The classroom in A levels is not for everyone. So I'm a big believer in letting people know that going to college doing a BTEC is a really good option if you're not interested in A levels, and you can still go on to sort of be whatever you want to be. So I definitely drive that. I'm a big believer in that.
Right. But I mean, again, obviously, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised to learn that a lot of the people that I speak to, around these sort of conversations, the answers obviously are often similar. So it's not that that there's sort of one straight path into what doing what you're doing, because I think sometimes as when people are younger, they think, well, I'll go into school, then I'll go to college, then I'll go to university, and then I'll go from there in a straight line into the job I think I'm going to have since 12 or 13. And often it's a bit more of a sort of winding road, isn't it, to get to where you're going to be?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Also, as you say, there's nothing wrong with not knowing exactly what you're going to be doing at a certain age as well.
I'll be honest, I still don't know what I'm doing now, actually. So I can say, it's always, you never know really what's going to happen. I mean, at the moment, I'm loving life doing this. I'll probably do it for quite a long time, to be honest. But if you asked me that a year ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't, I'll be honest, I didn't really know what recruitment was. It was actually a job fair at the university where one of the big sort of international agencies, Hayes, came in and did like a presentation and sort of told us all about recruitment. That's where I thought, I quite like a go at that. So next thing I know, I started applying for graduate jobs. But when I was at university all the way through, I was thinking, I'm going to be a PE teacher, going to go teach maybe at college or maybe secondary school. But then as I just went through that and sort of found out a little bit more about recruitment, etc., it was a bit more of a sort of the fit was a little bit better for me at the time. So I'd definitely say you don't have to have a clear plan and a clear path, because like I say, my path winded that many times. Definitely.
Oh, great. Okay. So, I mean, as obviously a lot of our students, in the next year or two will be coming to the end of their sort of college career and looking to go into the world of work. What advice or tips would you give to anybody that was looking to go into, say, recruitment or something similar? Is there anything specific that you think students should be looking to do, or anything they should be looking to avoid?
No, I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. So I wouldn't say avoid anything. I mean, one thing I would say is maybe get yourself on LinkedIn. I don't know if you guys do anything at the college about LinkedIn, but maybe that's one thing I would have done differently if I could have my time again, is get on LinkedIn early and sort of do a lot of networking on there, because LinkedIn's a great platform to sort of interact with different businesses, different people. Maybe get your name out there. I mean, in terms of getting into recruitment, I know we offer a really good sort of like I know we've had apprentices here and stuff, but I mean, just getting out there and speaking to people is a really good way to do it. I mean, recruitment's a very open industry to be in. It's all about sort of being comfortable talking to people. So I just say, get out there, do some networking. I mean, to make it in recruitment, you've got to be quite driven. So even if you don't know what you want to do, as long as you're driven, you work hard, and you're quite like the fast-paced nature of work, you'll be absolutely fine. And I'd definitely recommend it, because I mean, the amount of skills I've learned here in the past year is unbelievable. I've had more strings to my bow here than I did throughout college, throughout school, etc. In the working world. So I'd definitely say just put yourself out there. And at the end of the day, we're only young anyway. Just try things. like you say, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do when I finished university, and I just paid however many thousands of pounds to go study there. So yeah, don't be afraid if you try something maybe not the right thing, because you can always go again. And like I say, you can never have too many skills in your armory. So yeah, get yourself out there. LinkedIn's probably a big one. Get on there and connect with people, because a lot of people have it nowadays, but they don't use it to its advantage. It's a very powerful tool if you use it correctly. And there's a lot of people on there that will help you. And sometimes when you apply for jobs on job boards, etc., as you can imagine at the moment, for example, we come in on a Monday, there's 500, 600 CVs in the inbox. So you may be just like a number in that pile, where if you're on LinkedIn, you're having that conversation with somebody, you speak to someone on a personal level, it's just, I believe it ups your chances of not getting noticed, but like maybe getting a foot in the door somewhere you maybe wouldn't have if you were just sort of firing CVs aimlessly out.
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, some really good advice there. And a lot of people obviously in your sector do mention that, and I think that's something to to remind students about is obviously if you haven't got LinkedIn, get on there. If you have, make sure that your profile is kind of up to scratch and you're keeping on top of it. So that's definitely good advice as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say definitely LinkedIn's a big one. I know that's probably one thing I'd have done differently. I've heard of it when I was at university and college, but I never really thought much about it. But then when I came obviously here, I've got a profile because I do a lot of my work throughout LinkedIn. It's, a really, really useful tool to get. So I'd definitely recommend as a takeaway for anyone at college to get LinkedIn, get a profile build, and just connect with people. It's a really good way to sort of get your name out there, sort of get a really good understanding of different industries as well. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend LinkedIn.
Yeah. Great, yeah, great advice. So on that there, sort of, I know you mentioned sort of once or twice there that's something you wish you'd done kind of sooner or slightly differently. On that note, is there anything else in your career that you wish you'd, if you had the chance to you'd do something differently, or anything, anything you wish you'd done instead of, sort of the steps you've taken in your career so far?
No, I wouldn't actually, to be honest. I believe everything I chose to do probably worked out quite well, because I've ended up where I am. I'm a big believer in sort of, and I think I mentioned it earlier, that things will happen for a reason. So yeah, I mean, when I was at university, throughout college, I had loads of different part-time jobs, for example. Some I hated, some I lasted, some I was there for a couple of years, some I lasted a couple of months, for example. But it was just gaining that valuable experience of sort of potentially what I wanted to do. And also, when you're growing up, I believe sort of getting some part-time work, it really does sort of benefit you moving forward into sort of full-time employment post-studies, because it just gives you them different skills and experience that you wouldn't normally get sat in a classroom. So no, I'll be honest, I worked in all sorts of places. I coached children at a company called Rugby Talks, which was really good fun. I worked in Subway for a little bit while at university. I worked in a shop. I've done loads of different stuff. But I'd say, no, there's nothing I'd change really. All of the employment I had and all the experience I've had have all been quite valuable to me. So no, the only thing I'd probably say is the LinkedIn, get on there and start networking earlier.
Okay, yeah. So again, some good messages for students there about no matter what you do, kind of in terms of your career on your way to where you think your end goal is going to be. There's always things to learn and experiences you can have in any role, as you say, even if you're at Subway or working in shops or whatever. So it's it's certainly not to be looked down upon, anything like that, is it?
Yeah, definitely. I think at the moment as well, there's so much pressure on young people to sort of have an idea of what they want to do as well. And I just don't believe there should be. I mean, at the end of the day, we're always changing. We have different interests in different things, especially like at the moment, the world, who would have known 2020 was going to be like it was. So I just say never get sort of disheartened or tied down to one option. Always keep your options open, because there's so many different opportunities out there. I mean, I'd recommend recruitment to anybody. That's a really good job to have. I mean, every day is different. And the amount of different people you meet and experiences you have along the way is just invaluable to life, as well as sort of your job as well. But yeah, I'd definitely say don't feel like pressurised in having to go to the standard university, because there's a lot of people that work at this in my company Express who didn't go to university. I definitely recommend that university is not the only way. I'd say definitely if you want to go and gain some good life experience, have a good time, and obviously get some good qualifications, it's a really good option, but it's not the only option. And I feel like at the moment there's a lot of pressure on young people to try and go down the academic route post college, post studies, but it's not the only way, I'd definitely say.
Yeah, great. Okay. And then the thing I kind of always ask, and the guests we have on sort of to round up is there any sort of, in terms of your industry or just things that you've done in your career, are there any things that you try to keep on top of in terms of, say, websites or blogs or podcasts or anything that you think are useful for students to have a look at?
I know as a company we have a blog. I know a blog's quite a good way. I mean, one thing I'm quite big into at the moment is actually a podcast. I don't think I've got the guts or courage to try and make my own podcast at the moment, but I definitely recommend podcasts. I listen to all sorts of different podcasts, not just on, a lot of them sort of on things I enjoy, like rugby and, I don't know, the gym, for example, but a lot of business ones as well, just because I find, I don't mind reading, but I just find podcasts is quite easy to listen to if you're on the bus, you're on the tram, for example. You can learn some really good information and knowledge from there, and like you say, you should never sort of stop taking in knowledge and experience. You should always sort of draw that in. But no, I mean, podcast is a good one. Again, one thing I like to do is, I mentioned earlier, the LinkedIn. I'm not much of a blogger. I'm not that creative when it comes to writing, but one thing I do try to do is interact with people on LinkedIn, whether that be hiring managers, whether that be candidates, whether that's sort of posting, maybe things like on a Friday, like Happy Fridays, stuff like that, just to keep the engagement up there and just to build my network, really. I think that's really important, especially in this industry where it's very competitive. It's always good to have a really good network behind you. So that's one thing I sort of do try and manage and maintain. Obviously, the website and stuff, we have a chap here who sort of handles all that for us, but obviously making sure your ads are up to date, make sure your job specs are up to date, etc. Your adverts are on the job board. And then on and a bit more of responsibility on my side, it's just obviously managing the job boards on the searching side, and not letting that slack. Because like you say, I find a lot of my candidates, especially on the language side, I find them by searching myself, not necessarily them applying. So that's something I've got to keep on top of and maintain. But again, I'd definitely say, not just for this industry, but I think in life, organisation and preparation is massive. At the moment, days come and go that quick. If you're not organised, you don't write stuff down, you don't plan, I just find the day runs away. So I'd definitely say, planning your day, being organised. And one thing especially I find in an office role is having a clean desk. My colleague who I sit next to has stuff all over his desk, and it stresses me out every time I walk past. I don't know how he manages it, but definitely sort of keeping organised. Don't have loads of clutter in front of you, because it just sort of draws your attention to different things, and you can't sort of, I always like to give 100% focus to what I'm doing. So if there's things around me, it just makes me more entitled to maybe pick something up and fiddle with it, where obviously if it's a clean desk, I'm just focused on what I need to do. So it's definitely something I maintain. And also one thing I do like to do as well, like make little wins throughout the day. Obviously some days, especially in recruitment, you get days which you're sky high, some days you're really low. For example, I feel like in recruitment, you're selling the one thing on the planet that can actually say no and sort of drop out the day before it's supposed to start. For example, if I was selling baked beans, it's like the food industry, a can of beans can't turn around and say, no, I don't want the job, or the day's supposed to be delivered, just not turn up, for example. So trying to get them little wins, especially at the moment with what's happening in the world, not just in work, but in sort of in your own personal life, whether that be little wins. I don't know, if you're like on a fitness journey, for example, just get little wins. Just because I just find it boosts your mood, it keeps you sort of motivated, because like motivation sort of ebbs and flows, isn't it? But I mean, if you're committed and accountable to something, you're going to do it regardless. So definitely sort of little wins just to keep you motivated at the moment is great as well. Something to keep on top of like a personal level.
Right, okay. Well, thank you very much, Ben. I mean, there's lots of great advice and tips, I think, for students to have a look at there. And obviously in terms of, some great stuff there with the LinkedIn organisation, and, as things just as basic as keeping your desk tidy. So I'm sure that...
gonna say. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if any of the students need any help, I'm happy to sort of plug my email on here, my work email, if anyone wants to chat just about any sort of employability, or anything to do with employability, if they want some guidance or a little bit of help with a CV, for example, or just want a bit of a chat to see where they want to go, I'm happy for them to give me a call, drop me an email, for example. I'm open to stuff like that. I'm happy to help people. So if they want to do that, I can, do you have like a comments bar or something where you put this, I can put my email on or something?
Yeah, we will do. Yeah, we'll have some links to yourself and the company over there. So that's something.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Ben. Cheers for your time. I know you're very busy, so I'll leave you to it for the rest of the day. And have a good day.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It was good to have a chat.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers.
Bye now.